microphone this way. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second meeting. Our first one was back on, let me check my dates here. And it changed my date. Darn. It was sometime the last week in February, I believe, once we found out, about a week after we found... February 20th. About a week after we found out that this clear-cutting proposal had been already approved without any of us knowing. So we've done quite a bit of work and covered quite a bit of ground since then, and this meeting tonight is to bring you all up to date. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the meeting that we attended in St. John's with Minister Byrne. Then we're going to have a few short presentations, and all this is going to take very little time, and then we're going to open the floor up to anybody who has a comment or a question. Water tip over here. There is tonight a microphone in the middle of the aisle. If you would like to use that, please do. If you want me to bring a mic to you, just raise your hand and I will. So we'll start with basically with housekeeping. I think everybody is from Port Blandford, but just in case there's a few people who aren't familiar with the Legion, we have one exit, two exits, washrooms, ladies on the right, gents on the left. The canteen is open for water and pop and chips.
And bars.
And bars. So if you're hungry, yeah, there's room for a munch.
No alcohol.
No alcohol. So I want to thank you all for coming here tonight. As I said, it's been... Yeah, did anybody say ah? No? Okay, it's been a long, strange ride. We all came into this not really knowing what to expect. None of us have a government background in that we knew the ways and the ins and outs of regulations and forestry, and so we're learning that as we go along. I think my co-committee has done a fantastic job. And in case you don't know who they are, it's Cliff Matthews, Dara White, Adam Greening, and our newest voluntold member, Clarence White. And we also want to acknowledge the Town Council of Port Blandford. They've done amazing things for us. We would not be where we are today, which is right now pretty substantial where we are. Without them, they've been guidance, they've been support. I want to thank Bram again for waiving all charges for the Legion. Tonight is another free of charge. And I want to, with all my heart, to thank everybody who supported us over these last few weeks. It's been difficult at times. There's times when I've been awake at 3 o'clock in the morning just thinking, like, this is why people do bad things, because they're dealing with something like this and they're so frustrated. But we work it through amongst ourselves, and so far we've managed to keep our sanity and our sense of humor, and we've managed to move forward. And I'd also like to thank Colin Holloway, who I think came in here tonight. Colin's been a source of support for us and guidance, so we thank you for that, Mr. Holloway. Again, I'd like to ask everybody, and we were such a good crowd the last time, I don't expect anything different this time. We're civilized, thoughtful people, and I know we're going to act like that again tonight. So we encourage all points of view, and we just ask that you do it with respect, which has not been a problem in the past. I've been asked to do a little talk on the meeting that we went to in St. John's. I always try not to be negative, but I didn't feel the meeting went anywhere near as we had hoped. It was a source of frustration for us as a group. But a few hours have passed, a few days have passed, and everyone has had a chance to rethink things. And we do feel now that out of that meeting came some positives. I'm going to leave it to the guys to tell you what actually came out of that meeting. We have a couple choices of how we can go from here. What I will say, and if you've read our Facebook, you know that we did not offer compromise. The loud, clear direction I got from the people of Port Blandford, that this committee got from the people of Port Blandford, is that we did not want compromise. We do not want clear cutting on our land. We do not want to go down the Trans-Canada Highway and see the valley that we love, the beauty of it, destroyed by clear cutting. That is a given. And that was never in question. We never let anyone believe that we were willing to compromise on that. That said, we do have a few plans to go forward, and they will be presented to you tonight. So what's going to happen here tonight, I'm finished, and I thank you for your attention. Again, if you want me to come down with the mic, that again is my function here tonight, to make sure everyone has a chance to say what they'd like to say. I'm going to ask Clarence to come up first. Clarence will be followed by Adam, who is going to talk to you about this map. This was a map that was left here the last time by Forestry, but unfortunately, between jigs and reels of the last time, we never got a chance to do anything with it, so we'd like to explain it to you. And then Chad is going to come up. He's got a brief PowerPoint presentation, and Chad is going to let you know what we can do from a municipal point of view to mitigate what's happening with our woods around here. So I thank you all for your attention, and I'm going to ask Clarence to come up and speak to us.
Good evening, everybody. Good to bear me on a speaker. That's some good news, I do believe. I've been in contact with the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society. They've been talking back and forth, and today I had a call. They got a keen interest in this. They've been monitoring what's going on here, so we're supposed to have someone call us this week, so we might have somebody on board to help with this issue that we have. I also have been talking to the NRDC, which is National Resource Defense Council, and that was Josh Axelrod, actually his name is. He's down this for this. They take care of the boreal forests here in Canada. So what he's done, he's tries to give us some input how we can deal with this problem, and some questions that we can ask our government, and try to get a little more into what we got. Well, Chad's going to talk about the federal stuff. I had this down on mine, so I'll just leave that to him. But like for our government, we'd like to know what the logging is for, and what company's doing it, who's buying it, what products it's going to be turned into, because some parts here in Newfoundland, what they do, they cut down our forest, and they turn it into 100% pellets, and they ship it all out to Europe for their generating electricity generation. So in other words, what they're doing, they're trying to cut down the coal over there. So what they're going to do is cut down their greenhouse effects and increase ours. That's what it sounds of it, right? And I'd like to know how much is going to be exported. Is it going to be 100%, 10%? Is it going to be sawdust, shavings, logs, lumber? I don't know. Right? I'd like to know all that stuff. And I won't keep this long. There's a quote that Josh did. He said, definitely it is a sad way to lose your local forest for a product that has zero benefits to locals and has seriously negative environmental consequences in terms of climate impacts and ground ecosystem impacts. So hopefully now they'll keep on ball with us, and we'll get to see what they come up with and give us a hand doing this. Thanks, guys.
Hi boys, I'm not really good at speaking or anything, but as Linda said, last meeting Mr. Balsam brought this map out. I'm not sure if he forgot to present it or he was afraid to pull it out and show everybody. But essentially, a lot of people don't understand the area that's proposed to be cut and the volume of timber and stuff like that. So we've marked in the town boundary. So this black line is essentially what the town of Port Blandford got control of, right? So Right here, we did not even know about this cut area. This cut area, it goes from Shoot Brook right down to Harold Haynes Pit. The government's calling this cut area CC 2016. This cut area is 24,000 core wood and it's 312 acres. Now those numbers are over a 5-year plan. So we did not even know about this cut area, which is inside our town boundaries. The area that most of us are concerned about is this one here. This here is CC 20014. So this is the 2014 is called. So as you can see, that 3/4 of this cut area is inside our town boundaries. So hopefully tonight, Jan's going to speak on this a little later, and we might be able to stop the cutting in this area. So as for the rest of the area, as you can see, these blue lines, this is our watershed area that feeds Middlebrook. These are the proposed roads that they're going to put in. I think there was something like 16 kilometers of road. So this road went in by Ames Pond and went right up. And these red dots are people's cabins. So, like I say, some people don't understand maps and don't know how to read them. And this here is another road they're going to propose to put in, which will go right into Long Lead. This here is another road that will go in right across from Always Pond and go right up alongside Long Lead. And then they're going to go in through Blackmore's Road, come up the pole line and put another road in there and essentially cut the timber down near the watershed area and up towards Alan Davis's pond where he's got his cabin. So as you can see, like I say, the yellow areas, they're domestic cutting areas. So this, for this 2018, the 2018 proposed cut is the green with the black lines. So for this season, they're proposing to cut pretty much from Raymond's Sod Farm to the river and into the pole line all around Mall Pond. So that was the proposed cut for this year, for 2018. And the total coreage for this area is 104,000 core and 854 acres of land. So that's what they're proposing to cut in behind Port Blandford. And then there's more areas over on the Bunny Score Road, which is up around Napper's Pond and down to our forestry road. That will be cut too, right? So I just wanted to do a little overview of the map so people can actually see the size of the area and the volume of timber that they're proposed to cut. All right, thank you.
Yeah. I got the 104 core.
In this, they're calling this the 2014 as our back area. There's 104,000 core in there. This area here, they're calling the 2015, which is off the Bunny Cove, off our access road there. We're calling our forestry road. There's 18,000 core in there and 251 hectares. And this area here is the 2016 cut area, and that's 24,000 core and 312 hectares.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam. We're going to ask Chad now to explain the potential we have for rezoning, and he's going to tell you all about how we can save a huge portion of this forest.
All right, thank you to the committee for inviting us to participate. Greatly appreciate it. First, before I start, I think that on behalf of the town, I want to take this time to thank publicly all of the committee members who've been a part of this. You guys have all done an amazing, phenomenal job of bringing this to light, and you've done so much work in creating such a great media campaign and getting the information out. I think you deserve a great round of applause. The reason why I was asked here tonight to speak, and after the meeting on February 20th, the next night, the committee met with the town council, and we discussed a variety of different options of what we can do to help support them in their efforts of stopping the clear cutting in our area. First of all, as Adam had spoke, you can see where the town boundary comes around, and as you can see, a lot of that cutting would have to take place within the municipal boundary. And because of it, we're going to turn to our municipal plan and our development regulations, and here's some of the options that council can help provide to support the Port Blandford Citizens Against Clear Cutting Committee.
Everybody
you see that screen?
So I'm going to read everything that's on there anyway. So the first part is the municipal plan. So under section 3.10.3, it states that forestry management and harvesting shall conform to the regulations and guidelines of the Department of Forestry and Agriculture and any, and I'll get this underlined, any regulations and conditions prescribed by council. Essentially what this means is that council has the authority on behalf of the people of Port Blandford to set any conditions on any types of forest harvesting inside the municipal boundary. So that's the first bit of power that we have that we can support the people with, is that if we don't like the way that it's going to be cut, we can set conditions on it. Secondly, in our development regulations, if you look at the definition of what a development is the carrying out of any building, engineering, mining, or other operations in, on, over, or under land, or the making of any material change in the use or the intensity of use of any land, buildings, or premises. So essentially, as a result, forest management and harvesting is considered a development. And as a result, it does require a permit from council. So, and I just want to note that council has not approved any commercial permits for forest management and harvesting in the Southwest River Valley, nor anywhere within that municipal boundary. So the nice thing is council holds that power right now, and basically, if the people don't want us to let those permits, they won't be let. Let's see what clicker will work on this one. So one of the things that we're looking at doing in our development regulations is that right now, forest management and harvesting is considered a permitted use inside of the following zones, and that's the rural resource, the watershed, and the forestry resource zones. So just to kind of give you an idea of the difference between a permitted use and a discretionary use. If we got a residential zone and somebody wants to build a house, there's not a whole lot the council can really do to really stop it. As long as you fit within the regulations, you got your side yard is correct, and the size of the property is correct, and everything else, under a permitted use, it's very difficult for council to stop. Under a discretionary use, hence the word discretionary, basically council has a choice on whether we permit or we don't permit. And whenever there's a discretionary use, that application has to go to the public. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. It needs to be posted, and the public does get a chance to have feedback on anything in discretionary use. So one of the changes that we've already started to our development regulations is that we've taken forest management and harvesting out of all the permitted uses, and we're moving them now into discretionary use. So not only our council, but councils down the road from here on in, if anything ever comes into the town regarding forest management, it has to go to the people first. So traditionally, and this is the little note on the bottom, this will ensure that any application for forest management and harvesting will have to be publicly posted and the public can provide input. This way, there will no longer be a reliance of just provincial government public consultations. Because right now, with the provincial government, when it comes to forestry, they hold their consultations. And from council's perspective, basically, well, public consultation has been done, but what we're looking at doing is changing that and saying we're just not going to rely on those consultations. We're going to make sure that there's consultations done actually within the community as well. So those changes are actually started right now, and actually that posting is in the packet today because we're going through the amendment process. The final thing that we can do to help support this committee is to change the zone. Currently, the Southwest River Valley has 3 separate zones. There's a rural resource zone, a watershed zone, and a forestry resource zone. And as a result, forest management and harvesting currently is a permitted use in those zones. What we're looking at changing, and just to give you an idea, and I'm just going to come over and kind of point this out and kind of ball it is real loud. Essentially, what you see here in the green, now this is the full municipality here, and as you can see, this is the Southwest River Valley. This blue, this is our watershed for Middlebrook. This green is our rural resource area, and this little section down right here is what's called forest resource. So to blow it up a little bit bigger for you, as you can see, this is Southwest River right here, and here's the valley. This is Nollsworthy's Pond watershed right here. So as you can see in this area, just to give you an idea, this is Holloway's Pond, Baggs Pond, Ball Pond, and Ames Pond. So as you can see, the municipal boundary actually takes all this in, and all the way over the other side, you can see where it goes in Shoot Brook, and all the way in through there. So I'm just going to show you guys now. I'll grab my clicker. What we're looking at doing with the potential of rezoning is that the community would like, if the community would like, because before we do any type of rezoning, we always put it to the community. If you would like, council can support the Port Blandford citizens against clear-cutting committee's efforts to stop clear-cutting within the municipal boundary by rezoning parts of the community, including the Southwest River Valley. And the thing is, we can basically zone any section within the community that you would like. Two particular zones that we're looking at is the potential of rezoning to a conservation buffer or to a recreational zone. So essentially, in both, conservation and recreation open space are what's considered the permitted uses in those areas, and there is no type of forestry activity that can take place in these two zones, whether as a permitted use or discretionary use. So just to give you a little example, and like I said, we can rezone basically any section at all, but to go to the point of what Adam was talking about that block 2014, which is up in this corner right here. Now, what I got done, just to show you as an example, we can easily go down across here, right to the corner, come on over to Southwest River, come right on up to the boundary of the domestic cutting block, and to come across and go around. Nice thing about zoning, you can draw the map however you want. The reason why we didn't look at rezoning all the way up here, because all this here is domestic cutting block. We do not want to impact the domestic cutting block in any way, shape, or form, because if we were to turn this into a recreation zone, then you wouldn't even be able to go in and cut your own wood. What we're looking at is basically rezoning just that commercial area. Now, in saying that, we can even rezone over here if you want. And that would be a part of the consultation, because once we do a rezoning, it goes to the public, and the public gets to provide input on where we zone and what we don't zone. So I only use this as an example, and just as a blown-up part. We can actually rezone this full section, and like I said, this is Holloway's Pond and Baggs Pond. They're currently within domestic cutting blocks, so we're not worried about this section, because that's being protected as is. But everything south of that, we can easily rezone. Like I said, if you want to turn it into a recreation zone or a conservation zone, in my opinion, that shouldn't be a problem at all. Same thing on the other side. If the committee would like us to rezone any sections over here, we can all put it in as part of the same amendment. So essentially, from council's perspective, like we've stated before, and on many occasions, we are in full support. We had a council meeting last night. We had a resolution of council to say to come here tonight and to offer rezoning, and if the committee would like to move forward on rezoning, we're more than willing to help in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you so much, Chad. Gar, did you want to fill people in on the request we received to put in a proposal?
Yeah.
At the meeting on Tuesday, we had suggested a few things, and at that time they weren't well received, but there seems to have been a change in thinking. So Gar has some information that's going to be interesting to a lot of people, I think.
I'm only a messenger. I know I got a hard head. Anyway, boys, at the meeting in St. John's, like I said, we threw stuff at them. What we proposed to them was to extend the domestic cutting area. I was talking today to a fella, and he suggested that we give something. So just hear me out now. Not give something. Not give something, but I got just give. Rich Tucker is there, and when we was in, what we want to do is give small sections, like outside of our boundary, right? And have a man like Mr. Tucker who ends and cut small blocks, and have with the cabins here, like, you're going to stay away from that. Just take small blocks, you go in with his chainsaws, and cut his wood and everything, And then we proposed, I don't know if they go for this or not, as the people in Port Blandford or children or something to go back in and replant, like the blocks that we cut. I wanted a 50-year plan, but he just threw it out the window. You know, we're doing. So anyway, if the town can say this, and we can get again, I'm going to say it again, we can get a man like Mr. Tucker, man, and because you don't tear up the ground so much.
Which we recommended at the meeting.
We recommend it. You know, this is just, I'm just throwing it out here, guys. You can say no, you know, but I mean, give them small blocks. They give them so much blocks. They cut down. I think you got 8,000 cord they got scheduled for 2 harvesters. So we probably knocked that down to, I don't know, 2,000 cord or something, and get our people, like I said again, our community to reforest it. And they told us that they would, in this case, they would reforest right away. But this is up to you guys. We're only bringing this to you guys. This is only an idea we had. And also, if we start this, we might take the emphasis away from the main body. But where the cabins and everything at, we want to also extend. I got my cabins there too, right there. You get that from a mossy ledge. Anyway, like we put in a 50-year plan. He didn't even look at it. We got the environment and the pine mark and everything beat it. So what he was saying was that, like again, Mr. Tucker, get someone like him in there, and give him blocks, and cut it with the chainsaws and that. He's been up there before, and just do blocks outside, because we got to try to protect this too. I mean, all the cabins up through there, like the boys got their cabins now up through there, we don't want to lose their viewscape or their trees or anything. Someone say them? So anyway, I just threw this out there. Like we're not going to go back unless if you fellas says no damn way, well that's the way we'll work it. But that just throwing that out there to you guys. You know, extend our domestic cutting block. I don't think they'll do that, but we try. You know, we put that in our proposal. Extend that because there's not much wood left in there they can get at. I told them we had 7 small sawmills there, so they can go in and cut a few logs in that for themselves. And that, this is just my opinion, that would give them something to think about and leave us the fuck alone, excuse the language. You know what I mean? When we give them a proposal with that one like that, then they just might leave us alone. That's just me thinking. Because I'm going to tell you, you sit down and face a fellow like that, I imagine the fellows that works in the forestry, they get to deal, we only deal with this for 3 weeks, and they're dealing with it all the time. So I imagine what they're facing. But anyway, I'm just putting that out there to you. You can tell me to go hit yourself if you want to. That's just something. And save all of this. Save and bigger what the fuck you call it? Buffer zones. Bigger buffer zones, and stay away from our pets, and do it slow, and reforest. And we press that to them, they'll probably say no, but at least they can't go to the meeting and say, they got flat out, no, they're not going to do it, they're stubborn and all that. And that's just my thought. I don't know, it's up to you guys what you want, this is your, we're only representing you guys. This is your forest. So if you don't like that, say you don't, and then we go on to say no resolutions, no, yeah. But that's what we tried the 50-year plan, that didn't work. That went over his head. And we tried to we was really frustrated on the hand, and we tried to tell them that, you know, like, you take this and leave all this alone, and they wouldn't deal with that, so we don't know what to do. But if we give them something, and not to devastate it, and reforest it, stay away from our cabins. Bill, one of your cabins, my cabin, I got one in there too. Again, you got one in the wrong spot. So that's just me talking. And again, like Mr. Tucker here, and not because you're Gerry or Rich, if you wouldn't, I tell you. But that's the only one I know. I don't know the rest of them, but you can trust that when they go in there, they won't tear it into Jesus. You know. So that's just my opinion.
So that's what we're trying to stop, going in there, tearing everything.
Yes, well, I think that this man over here, Mr. Tucker, you still going to get stumps, but they won't be so quick. You know what I mean? Boys, they won't go in and slaughter it all in one shot. So if they create work for some of our young people in the summertime, if they do, but we put that up to them, but that'll be in our proposal. Cut so much at a time, not to go in, like I said, and slash it off. If the town protects this area, and then take so much of this and stay away from our roads and our cabins, you know, then they can't go and say they got money. You know what I mean? Now, I know some fellows here saying we don't want them in there and stuff like that, but it's up to you. We only represent you guys, and we've been beating our head. I'm telling you, we've been beating our head for a while on this. See, we're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it without hurting anybody. But anyway, that's just what I think, or we think. Slow, but to be reforested by our people.
Excuse me. Doesn't free-floating eliminate all that?
No.
Outside the boundaries.
No, outside the boundary is free for all.
Yeah, I know it's outside the boundary, but when you have to zone, I mean, extend your boundary.
No, not extending, you're gonna get this area. That's it. That's it. You know, we're trying to save outside the town boundary now, like, not for to go in and slaughter everything. I think, I don't know, listen, all I see is lies and smoke and mirrors, like, that's from my perspective. All I see is when you sit down with someone like the forestry and that, you don't really get the right picture, I don't think. But when you sit down with a Harrigan, I won't say it might be kids there, but a Harrigan fella like that Byrne fella, they always want something. They're always trying to look down on us and everything else. But if if the community people, like the council can say this, and just like again, I want to say again, like Mr. Tucker there went and cut so much of small blocks and get it reforested. We'd be dead before this is finished and be reforested. That's just me putting it out to you. I represent you guys. I volunteer to do that. So there's something, you don't have to make a decision tonight. You know, it's up to you guys what you want to do.
So are you still going ahead as a lead book for cutting?
I don't know the time. I think they got probably, I don't know, like, from the meeting the other day, I confused Will as you, but I don't think they're going to go in April. I could be wrong, probably Colin can talk or answer that. But I don't think they're going in April, because Buddy said there was no permits issued. Now, if you can believe that or not, right?
Well, I asked the minister today, and he told me no permits have been issued.
Okay, well, we got no permits, so we got time. I only put this, like again, I said 100 times. I don't know if I repeat myself, I'm wasting every other time I repeat. I'll even be right. But boys, you know, I know that we don't want no cutting in there, no slashing and everything else. But he's a Harrigan fuller. You know, and I'm not going to plead with this because I'm not going to have that, because we're all equal here in our town. I'm proud to be heard this time, I'll tell you that. But if we just, and I'm not going to try to sway this either. You know, this is up to you. I mean, you're the ones. But if we can get this, I don't think you do, but we can put in their proposal again to get this domestic block void. And then others with small mills or don't have to go in over the bogs or up to the nick or whatever, but we put in like extend our domestic cutting again. Twice out we've asked them now, and they don't know, but do it again. So we got a lot of attention on this now, a lot of media attention. And like Clarence said, the big shot environment players are watching us. Like, make a proposal to extend our domestic cutting block. Small scale cutting in here, like again, I mentioned this again, Mr. Bucker. And we reforest it, and we take, look, before anybody goes in, we have the say on it. Not the others out there that don't give two shits for us, but we have some management on this one too, us for us.
So
right?
if you give them little blocks, are you
I'm not giving them money.
Well, no, okay. If everybody agreed to give them a little block,
Yeah?
can you choose the harvester that's going to go in there?
Yes, we can. I think we can. I mean, right there.
I think Kathy was talking about these small
No,
blocks like
no,
our land and
no.
usual, right?
Oh,
You can
okay.
go. But they're not going to let, buddy, that arrogant putter again. He wouldn't let, we sat there and just say, or was it yesterday?
Tuesday.
What day is this? Thursday. Anyway, he sat down and, anyway, he said selective cutting don't work. But you go in, like our land and then with the one, he won't go with for that either. So, hold on, I thought something there was short. Black. But he wouldn't have nothing to do with selective cutting. He wouldn't have nothing to do with us over a wall, I don't think. But anyway, if we give him some kind of a plan like that, that's just me thinking. Give him something, we go back, and then he can't go and say to us, all the town of Port Blandford, they won't blame, they won't give him nothing, just go cut it off. And the big thing, Ted, I got to ask now, I got to ask a question. Can they stop you from rezoning? Yeah, but that's the big question I got me going too, and I never thought about asking.
Well, if you try to stop us from rezoning, to be honest with you, it'd be pretty bad politics in my opinion. That's just a personal opinion on it. I mean, to your point, you look at the black line there, that the map. I mean, we have control over that. The town does. And if the people don't want any cutting in that area, I can guarantee the town of Port Blandford will do everything possible to make sure that no cutting goes on inside that area. What's inside the area we can't control, we'll support you in any way, shape, and form that we can. But we can guarantee if you don't want any cutting inside the municipal boundary, we'll do everything in our power to make sure that no cutting happens within the municipal boundary. In saying that, just one second. Saying that in terms of the rezoning, we'll put forward the rezoning. I mean, if you want us to, and we would have no issue with that. Like I said, we could turn it into a conservation zone, recreation zone, basically whatever the community would like for it to be turned into. Now, when a zoning amendment takes place, it goes to the public and people can provide input. So if we do a zoning amendment and the people of Port Blandford are 100% behind it, I mean, that really helps it. Really, when it comes to anybody against it, I mean, government would take that into consideration. But see, council are the ones that have to vote on it. We'll put it to the minister. And when I say the minister, it would be the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Now, if the minister rejects it, well, I'll be honest with you, it's a hard thing to bring to the ballot box, isn't it? Yeah. Little tiny town trying to protect its community, trying to protect its tourism assets, and then for the government to actually turn around and say, no, you're not allowed to rezone, my personal thought, it's pretty bad politics. So, from the town's perspective, like we said, we had our meeting last night, and we have a resolution to council. Yeah. If there's anything you guys want us to do within the municipal boundary, we'll do. In saying that, I also want to add this to the point too. One of the things that we can do from the municipality to protect the outside, and you look at up around the South River Valley area, if they want to put a road through the municipal boundary, they need a development permit for that too. Because if we go back to the definition of a development, then before they can even put a road to it, people of Port Blandford will have a say. So just to give you that as well. So although we can't control what happens outside of our boundary, we can stop roads getting into that.
We're putting up 75% of it. If this goes through the rezoning, we got 75% of the stuff. That's what we got done.
That's better than mine.
And then, like I said, again, if it's okay with you fellas, like we can put in a proposal and take small blocks, stay away from the cabins, get bigger buffer zones, and from our trails.
Why should we go ahead and do that, Mayor? And I'm not trying to be negative.
You sure?
All I'm saying is that's in direct view with Trans-Canada Highway here, on across their power line goes up to the carrier.
It's viewscape.
The viewscape is gone, and they're not even supposed to do that anyway.
I understand that too.
And access. Gerry, let's say something access for a second. If we zone that as conservation, you got a darn good case for no road whatsoever going over there. I think finally you really got a reason for it. More so than recreational. So there's options out there. I think we don't need to jump the gun and compromise with anyone at this stage. Let's see where we stand and proceed with what Chad and your own self got going. And run up that flagpole first before we go talking to someone who doesn't even want to listen to it in the first place.
Yeah.
So the heck with it, just go and let's get everything moving.
My opinion on this, Danny, is that, again, I go back to arrogance. I just want to go back to arrogance. It's nice for us to still sit there and say, we'll stop them all, we'll do this. But when it comes to practical, Danny, like we looked into blocking them off in the roads, like trying to stop them across the roads, like both sides. And with Nelcor Winter, I don't think we can stop them, like getting in there that way. If they get inside of our town boundary, they can put roads in there wherever they want.
No, we can't, because they're gonna cross the boundary.
Yeah, they can't even cross the boundary, because I don't think, Chad, we can stop them going across the boundary.
Well, if there's any new roads to be constructed,
No, what the old roads, like the two Nelco roads there now.
there's options there we can look at.
All right, well, then we'll look at the options before we do system. I'm just learning. Anyway, that's my opinion, right?
Are you going to let me say something?
I don't know.
God, I'm going.
No, come on. I've listened to enough in the last week of everybody saying that this was all my fault in the past week. I've listened to all the crap that's on the
Is this being
Facebook.
recorded?
Yes.
Is this being recorded?
Yes, you can record it. But I'm going to take exception to what the mayor just said.
Did Mr. Ball?
No, when he says that, okay, you put it to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and if he doesn't go along with it, you can deal with the ballot box. Well, the only one you're dealing with the ballot box is me. That's what you're saying.
Colin, this wasn't meant to be any type of political
You
thing
should have
like
said
this.
that, though, right?
What I'm saying is, and I've said this publicly on the radio, CBC asked me, VOCM asked me, and they asked the same question in terms of if the municipalities do this, can the government stop you? Can the government stop you? What I'm saying, Colin, it's politics. You look at this. Do a politician want to take on a small town that's really trying to save its tourism industry? Look at what we're trying to do. Look at all the people that's here. Look at all the response to this. People do not want the clear cutting going on there. So what I'm saying is, if we got a good argument of saying, we want to rezone this, we want to protect this, and if the people want to protect it, and the municipality, we are elected officials too, we are responsible for within our jurisdiction. We do have power, and we are willing to wield it. This is the thing. And if the Minister of Municipal Affairs wants to deny us a rezoning for really no good reason, then yes, then it's political. And yes, take that to the ballot box.
Okay, so I think we're just going to recap here and then open the floor to questions. So what we are proposing is two parts, is the municipal zoning process. And we're also going to put in a proposal because we feel that we can't not put in a proposal because then we lose any bargaining power. If we have a proposal for the rest of the area, then we can negotiate. So we will be putting in a proposal. The proposal will go through yours, to all of you, to anyone who's interested, to read, to make suggestions, to ask for changes, to ask for additions. As we've said throughout this whole night, this is a community effort. This is not the effort of the committee. The committee, yes, will put together something to the best of our ability. As I say, none of us are experts in the ways of government, but we're learning. I'm sure all of us are learning things that we probably really didn't expect to learn, and a lot of things we don't want to learn, and a lot of things we're happy to learn. And I must say, this is one of the best things that's happened to me in this process. I have learned so much. And if I get nothing out of this except for that knowledge, well, I won't be entirely happy, but I will be able to feel that this is something that I learned a lot and benefited through greatly. I think we are going to be able to do quite a bit with the arsenal that we have at our use. So as I say, we're going to do this proposal. We will ask for anyone in the town. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to draw the line outside the town. We can certainly take comments into consideration because I know there's people who are away. I think they should have some say. But I think the ultimate decision is going to be to the people of this town in the here and now. That's just my thought. That could change as well. So what I'm going to do now is thank everybody for their input and open the floor to questions. So if anybody has a question, you can either take the mic in the center aisle there, or Rick, who doesn't need a mic, or I can bring you the handheld mic. So Rick, I'm going to leave it up to you.
I got a couple of questions for the panel, and a couple of suggestions. First thing is, fisheries motion's been, not Newfoundland fisheries motions, the federal fisheries motion's been notified about what's going on with the sanders out there.
I had offered to do that because I have worked with DFO and still have contact with DFO. I haven't done anything yet because I didn't know which direction this was going in. So I will contact people I've worked with in DFO and, as you know, Arsenal or as ammunition for our proposal. I will get their take on what's happening with salmon stocks in Newfoundland and how this might affect it.
Okay, and we got lots of resources out there. We're not just dependent on going back and forth between the government and everything else. We got the Sierra Club, we got fisheries notions and stuff, and there's all kinds of people out there. Don't give up hope yet. No compromise. No. And the whole community, you got the back now, this whole community, and we came here tonight, Chair, nice job on your work that you're doing, and the town council, everybody that's involved, town, same thing, so much as I admit it, you're doing a great job. You're doing what we expect from politicians, you're doing politics back. Thank you. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we were at the meeting, you got the consensus of the town then, or the whole community, okay? To go ahead with this no to clear cut. I think the town council here tonight should be able to take this to the bank, go ahead with your discretionary use or whatever it is you're going to do. We got every bit of faith in the world in the town council of Port Blandford doing what's right for us. And the committee, keep going the same way you're going. No compromise, no surrender.
Well, I got a question. So is that the consensus of most everybody here? That nobody wants to give up anything? Everybody, no cutting?
Disagrees.
So everybody agree with what Rick is saying, or is there still people in between? Show of hands for who agrees with Rick with no cutting at all. Zero cutting. No cutting at all. Inside or outside. No cutting at all. So there is people willing to compromise, right?
Okay, let's go. Okay, people are doing this. Okay, put your hands down on the count of 3. Everybody put their hands up. We're in favor.
Can I ask a
0.
question?
Okay,
Clarify
hang on,
first
hang
what
on.
we're voting for.
Verify first.
If we were to allow stone cutting, how would the government zone that then? Would they limit cabin development and stuff? That's the question too.
Any cutting will be done outside the town boundaries, not inside town boundaries. So we're only talking about that 25% of the cut area.
Yes, but our cabin is right at the end of that green spot there. So what I'm at, like, if we wanted to go in there and build another cabin somewhere, like.
You can suggest bigger, you can still suggest bigger buffers.
Bigger buffer zones.
For the ponds and that, instead of going 20 meters, go 100 meters. You can put all that in there.
But what I'm asking is, like, over across the bay, they won't have any cabin development there now, they won't approve it. Are they going to instill that here, like once forestry goes in? That's, like, what are they gonna change once forestry goes in there?
The only way to answer
That's
that.
something we can, yeah, that's something we
The
can
only way
address in the
to answer
proposal.
that question would be able to go with either clear cutting or no clear cutting or no cutting at all.
Once it becomes a commercial forestry area, they become the, the ones who go to protect and not allow us any access to it,
Well, you're gonna have to use your mic, a lot of people can't hear it back there, right?
Excuse me, where do you sort of get your firewood from? Who do you buy firewood on?
I don't burn.
Where do them come from? How many fellas there burns firewood?
I do. I brought it up, yes.
Well, where do you think that come from?
Forest.
Well, is it inside the boundary? You can't cut outside the boundary all the time it's out to use. You got, and another thing, how do you own the land? If I go to apply for the Bell cabin, who do I see? Town council or Crown Land?
Crown Land.
Who do I pay the money to for Crown Land for the family cabin? You sellers?
Crown Land.
Well, how do you own it?
We don't own it.
Well, why isn't trying to stop it? Just don't own it.
trying
Do you own the trees?
We're trying to protect it.
Do you own the trees?
We're trying to protect them.
I never said that. I said, do you own the trees?
No, you don't either.
Well, what? Well, we got more activity to own. We got a cutting permit for it.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to show that you owns it. Now, we don't mean to say that we're going to destroy the forest either.
That's what we're
I
saying.
agree with that. All you got to do is go over there and look at that and stone, show it they destroyed the forest.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But what you are saying there, that you owns it. And to me, you don't own it. It's the same thing as coming in the bay and fishing. When you come to the Narrows, you is not allowed down there, you don't own it. We own it. If that's what you want to do, that's the same thing. Now tell me, is any difference in it? When you come to the Narrows to go fishing, do we own it?
No.
Well, that's what I just said. We don't own it. You don't own that. No difference in it. So if you don't own it, why is it trying to stop it?
We're trying to protect it.
Well, that's like you try to protect the fish. What don't do it? Give it to the foreigners.
Yeah.
And another thing about the moose ladies, they try to protect the moose ladies. Who is going to give it to them?
All right, where did the wood
Going
go?
to give it to the Americans.
Where did
Come
the
in
wood
the
go?
county, in the cabins.
Where did the wood go? What do you make out of it?
That's their living.
What? No, that's not saying. What do you make out of it? You make pellets to go export?
It comes here in Port Blandford. It only goes to Kip 6 and your bells outside the lumber.
Okay, so you don't stop it. Okay.
Well, that's where it goes to.
Well, it's important.
And when you can tell me that you owns the property, I got to pay you for the property, good enough. But if you can't own the property, well, in other words, I got to pay $10,000 in land. I got to give the council $10,000. That's what you are saying. Is inside the ordinance boundary.
Dennis? Let me speak for a minute, huh? Let me speak. I'm going to say it again. We got a lot of respect for what you fellas does, because you don't destroy the ground. You don't destroy the forest. You clear cut this, but that's what they tell you to do. You go over there, up to Davis Pit, like House of Freeman's Road, and look what we got in there. And that's what we're comparing this by.
But if
We're not, listen, let me speak. We're not trying to stop you from making your living. No, we're trying to make them, we got That's the valley we grew up in. We comes down here, all we see is our valley. That's the only thing we got left around our house. Everything else is flattened on the other side over there. Like I said again, not because you're too damn late. You don't do too bad of a job up there. But across there to the pit, Dave's pit,
God Almighty watched the road over there.
No, I'm not talking about God Almighty watching.
And look at the park over there. What do you see on the park? What do you see on the park that nobody caught it?
I see.
Go down to the shore and tell me what you see.
I see it.
Nobody got knocked out.
Yeah.
So I can't understand how you've got a boundary.
Yes, sir.
We got no boundary. I can't see how you've got it.
You got a boundary.
Well, the boundary must be around those.
Forestry gives you your boundary.
I don't see no boundary down there. It's not on the map. There's no map showing we got a boundary.
You don't have council, do you? That's one thing we got.
Well, that's one thing we're proud of.
Well, we're proud we got a council.
But if you're on the council, use is definitely not going to stop it. I can tell you that. To me, sure, I probably hope he's doing. But the thing is, it's not going to stop it one way or the other.
I remember you.
But now I just said I hope and pray that you do stop it.
Okay.
I'm not going to say this. We destroy whatever you've got in there. I'm not saying that either. But when fellas was in there caught it, we went in and caught the fellas. Did anybody on council say anything then?
No, this was done good.
Still, your women was all gone. Same thing. Only in brown stuff for us. Much nowhere I see that.
Yeah, that's what we're after.
But that's what you're after. But every somewhere agreed don't cut it. That's what he said. And because if users going to get something out, go ahead and cut it. In other words, that's what you're saying.
I mean, logging is your industry, Dennis, and
If we bring this up $100,000 each, give you said everybody's trying to cut it, destroy it.
No, but listen now.
That's what you do.
Forestry is your industry, okay? That's how you make your living. Forestry is our industry in which we make our living because it attracts the tourists, which is our main industry. So if what attracts tourism to Port Blandford is gone, what have we got? Listen to me, Dennis. You can go out in that ocean and you can take every fish out of that bay, buddy, and you still got a beautiful ocean. You go in there and people will still visit. They'll boat it, they'll ski it, they'll swim it, they'll do whatever. Go in there and mow this down. What have we got?
Well, it'll grow back in sometime, I suppose. You might live to see it. You go around the forestry road over there, you go down there, there's out of this building. I can carry you over and show you where it grows and where we cut that.
Well, how come we're not going to let us cut that?
Yous fellas is the fellas that are trying to stop them from cutting it. The forestry said that you's got to do with it.
Look on the other side of the bank over there. Yeah.
Up there where we're cutting to now.
No, sir.
You's got us drove out of it. The forestry said yous is responsible, yous drove us out of it.
Do you believe everything the forestry tells you?
Oh no, I know there's law to do. Anybody in government knows her that works for government law.
Listen, they lied to us right from the get-go there, Dennis.
Well, in other words, if you didn't stop us, yous go to the forestry and say, boys, I didn't stop them, it's yous is doing it.
We told Buddy in their jingle face that where you're cutting to leave it alone.
Well, they got to stop. We're not allowed in there.
Well, that's not us.
These same as you sellers.
No, well,
There's the boundary. We're on the Port Blandford boundary. I don't know who's doing it, but they're saying the Port Blandford boundary we're on.
And we stand by our boundary.
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't know how he owns a boundary. If I use owns a boundary, I got to give his land back that much.
Every community that's got a council has a boundary. Town limits.
Oh, you just said you've got a boundary, sure. If I go to Belcab, who do I go see?
Well, if you're not going to build a cabin inside of our town boundary.
I built it on your boundary there. Who do I go see?
You can't build it on the boundary. You've got to go on the inside of the boundary.
I'm not allowed to build a cabin on that.
You got to go see.
Is there any cabins on it?
You got to go through council.
No, he's got to go through council. There's people here that can stand up right now, and I see two of them here now, got turned down 2 years ago because they wanted to build a cabin on Ham's Pond. You know where Ham's Pond is. And they couldn't build there because it was in the town boundary.
Well, I seen them build the forestry also turned them down. He wouldn't allow to build them down Crown Lane.
Well, there you go. See,
but still, I don't know how he's got a boundary.
This is why they implement boundaries to control environmental impacts, whether good, bad, or indifferent.
Dennis, don't go nowhere here. I got to ask you a question. I got to ask you a question before you get started, sir.
I got 60 odd year there.
And Corporate told me this morning, he said, you're not allowed to cut no more there. And that's on that side, now, not on this side. Yeah. On that side. I said, why? He said, he owns that over on that side, he said he owns this side. Now, you're over there talking that?
Well, wherever the boundary lies, when we can't change the boundary.
Alright? Well, you know that side over there too.
If it's inside the boundary, Rich, yes, we do.
Well, you know what we're talking about. Well, I was there 60 odd years.
Yeah, I know you have.
I'll speak for I talked to Minister Byrne about that piece. Just let me speak for a second. That piece of land that you must be cutting on, I don't know where you're cutting. I offered him that piece of land. I said, you go up there, you let everybody cut up there. We're not worried about that block. All we're worried about is him behind the river.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying, what the forestry said.
He wouldn't even speak.
Yeah, don't believe them because anything, Rich, they've been lying to us since this Don't believe them because they lied to us since this time.
I was there 60 odd years.
Yes, sir, thank you.
So I didn't cut anything, I just cut it down, and the forestry told me I had to stuff down this was 6 inches. He's over there now, I'd say 3 feet.
You know, guys.
So as far as I can stand, you shouldn't let it down with the thing in the first beginning. That was the problem right there.
I have to ask you a question, Rich.
That's all I have to say. And you don't have to get into that. No, don't keep on your foot, I'll get that.
I have to ask you a question.
I wasn't on this side. I did cut a bit on this side. And I asked the forestry, could I stay there? No, he said, too many fine lands in there. And the next thing he said, you wouldn't like cross the road. That's all I got to say.
I have to ask you a question. Yes, I have to ask you a question.
But Cliff knows where we're to, is it inside the boundary?
I don't know where you are. Can you point out?
I know where borders and took me took pictures.
I don't know where you are.
That's the first where we're to there.
Can you show us on the map?
Dennis, I have to ask you a question before you sit down. Did you hear Burns is saying that the officers had a meeting with him the day before? Did you go? Were you guys in?
No, we wouldn't have there.
Huh?
We wouldn't have the whole meeting.
He's a fucking lawyer. I'm not saying much.
You're telling the ones in Little Say, thunder? You're telling the ones in Little Say?
What he said, that Byrne fella, said that you guys, like the officers, was in at a meeting with him.
He said he met with 17 people.
17 officers.
Yeah, we're not officers. We're not officers. We got no officers. We got no officers.
No, but
if you're talking about the
I don't know how we define it.
We wouldn't there. Little said what done, we wouldn't done there.
What's that?
Little said meeting done to be long, we wouldn't done there.
Little's at a meeting?
Yeah, that's what he tells me done.
Okay.
But we wouldn't done there.
When we talked to Byrne yesterday, guys, Dennis? Dennis? When we talked to Byrne yesterday, Adam said, let him cut over there. So let him leave him alone. And he wouldn't have fucking nothing to do with it. So they've been lying to us ever since we started that fella right in Clarence, don't do with him. So he could be lying to you too, but it's not even rezoned yet. So how can he stop you from cutting?
No, he lost the way too far. I agree, he lost the way too.
No, but the question I got, how can they stop you from cutting when it's not rezoned yet?
Well, he told me he stopped us.
Huh?
He said no more there. But you see, but that, gotta stop, he told take it out and bring that wood.
Huh?
And bring it home.
No, this is the first we've known of this.
Yeah.
They did not inform us.
I'll tell you, Lord, he told us, when we went up on Torrelec Road, you know this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, with this Smith fellow, they said, no one else coming on this road, he said, period, only you two fellas. I saw just 3 officers there, and destroyed it, the last 3 or 4 years, so. I got great with detailed loads.
You can't see how they draw the other, so it's not rezoned yet.
But I told him the last month I'll be there. Got a park to come over there and talk to him.
Glad to hear it.
I used not told him to come up and down and play and I'll move on.
Thanks, boys, for shining that light because we didn't know that.
And if you said you don't know about it, we not need to use, we just gotta deal with parts.
Well, that's my consensus
I
of
don't
this,
know
Dennis.
the map. No, I don't know the map.
Right?
They lied to us when we started there, Dennis.
Oh, do you know, you had lied, you told me when I tried to return.
Map and not up to talk to them. But you take note, we're getting away from what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We're over at Camel's Pond, that's where we're headed, we're going to Point Camel's Pond.
We got a map, but I haven't got there. That's outside of the towns.
So you're saying you're on the inside of Camel's Pond?
That's where we're supposed to go in the air. Right over at Camel's Pond, around that area.
Right down there.
Now that's why I get that back in between.
So you're cutting like on the outside of our pond?
Yeah, well, those are new roads for you.
Yeah.
New roads, just go down the air.
Geez, I'm still up there.
Dennis? According to the chair there, that, okay, well, on the chair there.
Trying to provide a little bit of clarification on that. If you look on the map there,
What are Camel's Pond?
over on this over on this side over here, Camel's Pond would be basically right on the boundary. So if you're cutting on the eastern side of Camel's Pond, they got nothing to do with the town. Not a bit in the world. If you're coming this side of Camel's Pond, basically you're coming across the ridge line. Now there's things in place in the zoning plan, and this is even before that. With the plan that was approved, that the government is working on there now, they're not allowed to offer any commercial cutting to the ridge line anyways, because those agreements have already been put in place. And I'll tell you, there's not much room between the ridge line and Camel's Pond. So what I'm thinking is if you guys are cutting on the inside of Camel's Pond, they got nothing to do with municipal boundary anyways. So if forestry is holding you fellas up because of us, they got nothing to do with it. The other thing too is the town has never seen a development or a permit application for. So to your point earlier when you mentioned about cutting inside the municipal boundary, the only way you can cut inside the municipal boundary is you need a permit. And there's never been a permit application submitted to the town. So in my opinion, you're not cutting inside the town boundary. And if you are, provincial government is not doing their job. Because the provincial government is supposed to make sure that all permits are in place before you can go in there.
Okay, in other words, there's up to forestry to cut. Contact you, get a permit for we to cut that.
Yeah, if it's outside the municipal boundary, if it's outside the municipal boundary, it got nothing to do with the town. And to answer the question on land ownership, the town don't own this land. This is Crown land. We'd love to own it. I'm not going to lie to you. We'd love to own it because we've asked for it before. But right now, all this out here is Crown land. What we as a municipality does, and this is where the zoning comes into, we got a boundary and we controls the development that goes on inside of our boundary. And that's it. So if you don't even have a permit into us, then obviously, then you can't be cutting inside the municipal boundary.
So is any of that cutting inside where you? About that road?
Not that I know of. And if so, I mean, it shouldn't have happened without the municipality being involved.
Forestry's supposed to contact you.
They're supposed to contact us if they're going inside the municipal boundary. Now, to Adam's point, I mean, there was a whole bunch of discussions going on with Mr. Byrne there a couple of days ago. Because council was invited to sit in and basically gather information as a part of it. And one of the things, to Adam's point, and I'm just going to point it out on this map here for you here. Because they're talking about cutting over in this area, they're talking about cutting over in this area. And to Adam's point, Adam said, Minister Byrne, leave this alone, cut whatever you want over here.
I'll put the mess.
Right? Basically, cut whatever you want over here, leave this alone. Because this is behind the ridge line. This is, one, it's outside the municipal boundary, so the town don't even have any control over it. And one of the things that we've always advocated for, I mean, council's been part of this planning process for over 20 years. And one thing we've always advocated for was protect the ridge line. What goes on behind the ridge lines, we got no control over. And you fellas have been cutting over for years, and nobody in this community has ever had any issue with any of the cutting that you fellas have been doing. And I mean, Gerry spoke to it, and I mean, because if there was any issues with the cutting that was going on over it, we would have heard about it long ago. That's the reason why when council was presented the plan, we agreed to it, because there was protections of the ridge lines, and there was no discussion whatsoever about any clear cutting going on in the Sandwich River Valley. Carl Hand was cutting up there for years. No one in this community ever had any issue. We as a council never had any issue, because he didn't go in and destroy the land. But when we were told that there was harvesters going in, and when I say harvesters, the mechanical harvesters are going in and going to flatten this and turn it into a moonscape, and yes, this is where we had issues. Because to Cliff's point as well, I mean, we appreciate your livelihood. Trust me. I mean, I used to be in forestry business too. I used to borrow wood from you all the time. I appreciate the business you're in. I was in it as well. But the other thing that we got to look at is we do have to protect our community as well. Because to Cliff's point, the forest is our other industry in the tourism side of it. And because of it, we want to protect it, especially from a council perspective. We're looking at the economics on it, and we want to be able to protect the viewscapes, protect the tourism business that are in the community. Like I said, when Adam, he was the one that said, Minister Byrne, cut whatever you want, sir. You've already did a lot of landscape damage over there now. Well, keep it up. If you leave us alone here. Minister didn't want to hear tell them. So if they're stopping you from cutting here, it's not for what these fellas did, because they actually picked up, and if you don't want me saying, Gar, you even mentioned Rich Tucker, and you said to Minister Byrne, you said, we have no issues with Rich Tucker's cutting, because he goes in, he takes it down with the chainsaw, he does similar type work of what Harold Hand did up in South River Valley, and that's what he said to the minister in St. John's. He had no issue with the work that Rich Tucker was doing. So, for them to come back on you and say you're not allowed to cut off here because of Port Blandford, to the boys' point, well, they're what you can try
Okay, the floor is still open. Rick has the floor.
They're pulling pretty much a government ploy here. They're trying to divide and conquer. They're putting the harvesters against the communities against the harvesters, and they're taking the weight out of their own shoulders where they fucked up. Basically, that's what they're doing. Not against you boys. I've seen you cutting. I've seen we's been cutting. You can't even notice your footprint. But when he goes in with these harvesters, you're considered harvesters. You're cutting wood. You're considered harvesters, okay? But these fellows are going to try to get you against us, and that's the way they do it. They chip a little bit at a time, and if you see a little bit of a splay in you, they're going to prey on you. You go back climb tomorrow, and you give that private climb the full extent of it. Don't cut them no slack, because if you do, they're going to be on you again. And nobody's going to do nothing. Nobody's going to do nothing or say anything for you fellas over across the bay over there cutting wood. But when you come to Port Blandford, you're coming in places that my grandfather, everybody's grandfathers around there, went in the woods. We sit down there and cut a tea, and when we looks around, we sees a stump that they cut and stuff. And if you comes in there, you're going to be made lucky. But not them Jesus big harvesters that cutting 130, 140 corn a day. And the government is going to have to fight me right till the last in May to get them in there.
We agrees with you. We're not against that.
I know.
Well, I don't put the government on. They took 20% down to we one time. They said, all the way to keep this back, one blocking their, I can't try this pit. They'd roll, they rolled around. We went in there and walked the full kilometer on the road every morning and every evening to get off the rig back. That much back in. Yep. The rest never done it. The last one they got trouble what we got. Because they got arrested. They got arrested.
Me and my brother at a sawmill, we had commercial leases for years and years and years. I started when we were 16 years old. I'm only going back 40 years. And a bit Richmond and line and right. But when Bob Dingwell, when we come on the scene, and Kip Sixon, we used to sell to old George Sixon, and Roy Smith and ran them on. No problem. We was in, we used to go across the bay, cut our logs and that, and you look over across the bay, you can't even tell we cut. You've been there for years, hundreds of years. And you can't tell where you cut if you leave this alone with a chainsaw on it. Don't even know you're there. But you go in there to ask them, and what they cut in a week, you can't cut in a year. No. But, I wouldn't go that far. It's all too much.
Well, meeting back to where we was at, guys?
They took our mill leases and stuff like that, and then they started eating up all the small communities. Now they're trying to eat the big mills and big industry.
Dennis and Rich, and I'll make the suggestion, perhaps you can keep in touch with us, because it seems like we're both being fed misinformation. And I don't really think that we want to be pitted against you because you do benefit our community. So if you want to keep in touch with us and see what's happening on our end and let us know what you're hearing, it might be beneficial. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions rather than believing the misinformation that it seems like you were given. Okay, anybody else? Who's next? Anybody? Okay, Paul.
I just got a question I could relate to Chad there. Maybe just a couple of questions without getting off on a tangent. It appears to me that this rezoning is the best one. Now, that said, you did make mention of having it on either side of the... Now, if in fact that was good, is there a difference between zoning as conservation or as recreation, okay? Does that give the government a loophole to change something that we would not like? And if in fact the zoning is done, what is the time frame we're looking before that could be implemented to get this harvesting stopped?
Well, the rezoning does take a little bit of time. I'm going to say a few months if everything goes as planned. The thing about it is, anything within the municipal boundary goes back to the point that we hold the permits. If you want to do any type of development within the community, we hold the permits. So as a result, we can withhold that through the process as we're waiting for the rezoning to go through. The only thing that the rezoning would do is that basically it takes it out of the forest management plan. Because when they're doing their plans right now, they're saying, okay, there's timber within the municipal boundary that we can go after, we can apply for permits, try to get the permit somehow. I mean, there's a variety of different arguments that they can make, and this is the reason why we're moving it to the discretionary instead of the permitted use. But if we go ahead with the rezoning, and once we say that there's no type of forestry activity can be done within these particular areas that we choose, and like I said, I just showed this one as an example of just where block 2014 is to, because that was the primary one of concern. So if we were to just rezone that one at this point, and again, it goes back to like when we had our discussions with the committee, because we can draw that map basically however we want. Once we rezone it to a class where forestry harvesting cannot take place, then that has to be taken out of any future forest management plans, because it's not a permitted use. You're not allowed in there to do it. As long as you can still, it's allowed and can be permitted, there is always the option that permits can be given. Now at this point, I know from the town's perspective, we've had this discussion, we don't want to see any permits issued until either a consensus is created or until we rezone it and just say no cutting there at all. So in the short term, no, I mean, if government wants to proceed and do cutting in block 2014, just use that one as an example because that's the one I got a picture of there. Town still holds the permits to that, and at this point, council has agreed that we're not going to be letting any permits until all this is straightened out. If we do decide to go ahead with the rezoning, like I said, it should be about a few months worth of work because there are procedures that need to take place. It needs to be posted. If people want to provide input into it, there's an opportunity for that. Then it has to be gazetted, which means it has to be published provincially, and then it goes to the Department of Municipal Affairs then for approval for the rezoning. So like I said, there is a process to it, but in the short term, we feel from council's perspective, anything within the municipal boundary, we can protect at this point. And like I said, just looking for input on how we can continue to protect it in the future.
Can government refuse the rezoning?
Yeah, we mentioned that one earlier. They can, and I can go back to that point again, and I've said it 101 times. Again, personally, I think it would be bad politics if a community wants an area turned into a conservation zone for the protection of the industries in the community, for the protection of the lifestyle of the community, and for a variety of different reasons. Personally, I feel if we go ahead with a rezoning and government turns it down, I personally don't think it would be a good thing. I think it would undermine the whole premise behind us as a level of government. We were given that boundary to manage. The people of Port Blandford was given that boundary to manage. The people of Port Blandford elect members to sit on a council and manage that on behalf of the people of Port Blandford. Therefore, If we feel that we want to manage it in a certain way, we're given the authority under the Municipalities Act and under the Urban and Rural Planning Act to manage within our own boundaries. And if we want to do a zoning change and it's turned down, personally I think it's just a slap in the face to not only our municipality, but all municipalities across the province, because you're saying that although you're a municipality and you do have legislative authority, we're not going to let you use it. And I personally, they can reject it. Personally, I don't think it would be a good idea to reject it.
Lauren?
Yes, with Gary's proposal earlier there, what's the best way to get on with that and get an answer to it? Like a vote, or what's outside that boundary? If you're fighting them, in my view, if you're going to fight the government and not touching anything inside, you'd be, like Gary said, let someone go in and cut a little bit here and there and let the boys go to work. And how are you going to stop them from cutting outside your boundary is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, we got to rehash this, Lauren, and have a look at it. And we got to be very careful with the access.
Yes.
Right? So it's not just a matter of saying, okay, well, we'll draw a circle around that now tomorrow, we'll call for us and we'll give it. It's,
I know what you're saying, but like Gary is saying, if you give a little, you might have a little better luck with what's inside that boundary.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like I said, once
we were willing to give them.
Consensus around it,
we were willing to give them across the bay, the other side of the bay.
Yeah.
He wouldn't accept that.
No.
What they're interested in.
I mean, the roads, everything is already in there and they're ready to go. You go in there, cut away. Right?
What they're interested in, Lauren, is what I just pointed out. They're interested in going in there and cut. They don't care what's across the bay or whatever. They just want to get someone in there and start cutting.
No, I'm saying like Rich's outfit. Yeah. They're in there and they're doing a good job cutting a little bit in outside of our boundary.
Cut back the quota.
Well,
or not their quota, but the quota. I think they got 8,000 quota or something for 1 year.
Yeah.
Cut it back.
That core was for the two mechanical harvesters. The boys are only cutting chains out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you let the boys in there and cut a little bit, at least you're giving a little back, right?
Okay, Greg, you have a question or a comment?
You guys have to go back to St. John's and have another meeting.
Not have no more meeting.
Not that.
What are we here for?
We'll get back to them. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we called you guys.
We want to know what you fellas want us to do.
Exactly what
We have been asked by government to submit a proposal.
So we're getting feedback and
Right now, we're not getting no fire rating what we was when we came to the door.
Okay, well, just get fire rating.
Right?
Just go with it.
Yeah, but we got the feedback though.
I'll show you what Gary showed everybody. I'll show everybody. Right? Gary was saying, inside the boundaries here, the council take it over. Right? Class it as the council boundaries. You take in this here for recreational whatever. This over here, give it to the clear cutters.
Yeah.
This here, give it to Rich Tucker.
Yeah.
Right? Certain cutting.
Yeah.
Right? No 8,000 core a year or whatever, or 8,000 core a year or whatever. Right? But he can come in there and do his cutting. This here, section here, okay, let your clear cutters go over and cut it, that's over clear what's in you. Right? But clear cutters don't go in there and they don't come here. What we're trying to stop is clear cutting. Right? We're not trying to stop Rich Tucker.
No, that's what I mean, yeah.
Rich Tucker been up there for years. Rube Bifford worked up in the woods, and the boys were too young, too small. Rube figured out for the love of gallon of gas in. Rube just had lugging in for him. Right? When they was up in Torn Lake. And Rich Tucker been there for years, so he sent these ground for us. Right? Those clear cutters are. So that's it. Give that to the clear cutters, you can take them both to the fork here, give that to the clear cutters, and it's the small phone chainsaw when you're cut that. And this boundary here, the council do their zoning, whatever you get to do.
That's what we offered initially, they weren't happy with that, but now it seems to be.
So, like I said, if everybody's satisfied here tonight, that's what you should do, right? You know? Rezone.
As I was saying, that's what we started off with at our meeting. That was the premise that we went to the meeting with. It was flat out rejected, but now we've been asked to come back, and it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, they will entertain that.
I think so, yeah.
So whatever this proposal is what we make it.
now we got something to bring back. Something, yes.
Donnie?
I still like to, I understand how we I think we gotta have legal control over whatever goes in there. I'd still like to see that we get on and look at, say, where that power line is coming through, which is roughly, and start on that side of the hospital, and we work back out, and we do assessments on a regular basis, to see where we want to stop. So if we don't lose our view.
Yeah, we are concerned and cognizant of
So,
these
so not
things.
to say all that there goes to cost, but say, put proposal in place where you review it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
To make sure we're not going into any conditions that you don't want.
Absolutely, don't matter, but, absolutely.
Hey, Dennis.
Back on the top.
Dennis, how many cords you cut here? 1,000 cords. Police cuts 1,000 cord a year. I think Wisconsin. The proposal is 8,000 cord a year?
No, 8,000 cubic meters.
So what's that in cords?
3.5 cubic meters in the cord.
Huh?
3.5 cubic meters in the cord.
What, 5,000?
3,000.
3,000?
Roughly.
3,000? With chainsaws and that? Can everybody handle that? Like we got to get in, like you're saying, we got to try to get in there. I got off the bed, so
No harvester.
No harvester?
No.
It's not free.
We haven't got money on file on
But we're going to...
Oh, definitely, yeah, that's a given. We will, I'm assuming we will have to find someone who has legal knowledge to help us through this process.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so.
Well, this is not going to happen tonight.
This is not going to happen tonight.
We've got consensus now. We know what we won't allow and what we won't allow. So now, as a committee, a group, we got to get together, and we know the area now that we're willing to.
Well, we better have friends somewhere because either Port Blandford or Bristol Vines will say we're down that.
Yeah,
nobody's down that way.
In the meantime, Dennis, excuse me, Dennis, in the meantime, tomorrow, you get a chance to go up to forestry, okay? And you can give them our numbers, call us, and tell us why they forced you guys to stop cutting there.
I can tell you
We
why.
didn't. Huh?
I can tell you why. The Bristol commercial operators are trying to push forage and push we out of it, so we pick up for them.
Well, then you got to go over there and start flexing your muscle. Right? You guys got to do the same thing we're doing. Get your group together and push it. Right? Because, I mean, there's power in numbers, and you're not going to do it by yourself. Like, I mean, there's no way that we would have gotten as far as we did now with the 5 of us on this committee.
You've got a couple hundred there, you just can't fight the government. I expect 3 fellas to fight the government.
Well, then, that's what I'm saying. You go down to Barnescope and get your group, and we got our group. Well, then, okay, that's just my suggestion. And like I said, you help us, and we'll help you.
Okay, folks, we've been here for an hour and a half, and I see everyone's getting restless. If there are any more questions, certainly we'll field them, but what we're thinking right now is that you guys want to see a proposal? Yes? Okay. Yeah, so what we're going to start to do now is we'll put a proposal together for your review. It's, like I say, it's not going to happen overnight. I can't give you a time frame right now, but it will be as soon as we can do it. And we need to bring other people in as well because we probably don't have the expertise to write a semi-legal document. Rick.
Will the consensus still be no to
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we.
Absolutely.
That's what we said.
What do you think, Rich? What do you think? My son, what do you think we take 3 weeks for a life, and go away and say, yeah, go away and clear cut.
No, no clear cutting.
The government can know and manipulate.
Well, then, we're going to put that in our, when we put in our proposal, that's going to be in a proposal.
Actually, it's no commercial harvesting. They don't call it clear cutting. It has a negative connotation.
Well, you're Port Blandford, so they call it
clear cutting. Greg.
So, before we all leave, right, all you guys went to St. John's. You went around your own money. I don't think so. People in Port Blandford want you to go there, so I think everybody in Port Blandford should support themselves and give a donation there to the case right on the way to the door.
Bear when you see me.
We might be hitting you up for lawyer's fees, so we'll get you generous. Lori.
Thanks, Greg.
It could be something as simple as a GoFundMe page, and if everyone donates $20, that gives us, you know, enough money to retain a lawyer and
Okay, excuse me, guys. Gentleman wants to speak.
The way I see it, we all need to we got council and in charge of us. We like what they're doing, they're doing a great job. They collect the money, they have the funds. I hope that there's enough people here to say the council will help you out with financial support, get you some legal support, and get this done.
And that's something we brought back to council. We can discuss at council, no problem.
I gotta say something. I'm sorry, Linda. Thanks, boys. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give Juanita a chance to speak. I think everybody's getting a bit antsy here. Juanita? Please let Juanita speak.
I think we all owe courtesy of allowing you to speak.
Yep.
You came here, turned out to speak, and I think we do owe him the courtesy to speak. Whether we agree with what he says or we don't.
True.
We still owe him courtesy to allow him to speak.
Absolutely.
Colin, would you like to come up?
I have nothing to say.
You had the right to speak.